Okay, so namaste and welcome to today's session. And I've now just started recording sessions on my own, just with the intent of posting some of these sessions on YouTube. So even people who are not part of my regular classes um, can have access to what I'm sharing, and particularly the wisdom of oneness. Okay, so I think let's start off with a small sitting practice. And I like to call it the sitting practice because I don't like to use the words meditation and mindfulness too much because they come with so many connotations, just like you have the word spirituality, you have the word God, um, so many connotations, and each person has a different idea of what meditation is. So I just like to call it sitting practice. Um, I think another better word I feel for sitting practice is simply honoring life. And what do I mean by honoring life? Most of the time, we are only honoring our life situations. And what do I mean by that is most of the time, our experience of life is nothing but our thoughts associated with our life situations. And that's what's happening in our mind, in our consciousness from morning to night. Okay, what do I need to do next? Oh, how do mm, how do I reach out to more people? How do I enhance my business? How do I make some profit? How do I, whatever individual is grappling with in terms of their life situation, that's what the mind is thinking. Sometimes it's thinking about life situations of the past or what happened, perhaps something that has left a very deep impact on the individual. And sometimes the mind is thinking about life situations about the possible future. But essentially, our life is nothing but our thoughts around our life situations. That's really, if you look at mostly 8 billion human beings, that is what our life is, our thoughts around our life situation. And when we are lost in these thoughts around our life situation, then we are a character in the story of our mind, living the story around the life situation. It's almost like actually a dream. When you're dreaming, again, a dream character forms in the dream, and the dream character is dealing with dream situations. And those dream situations seem so compellingly real. The dream character feels anxiety, fear, happiness, joy, all, and the same thing happens in the waking state. So no wonder in a lot of spiritual schools of thought, it said that even this waking state is nothing but a dream, a waking dream, if you may. Because we are living constantly in this mind created world of ours. The dream is also created through our mind, and the waking state is also totally covered with what we think. Mhm. So, when I say a simple word for the sitting practice, which in general terms, most people, it's called meditation and awareness and mindfulness and all of that, is to honor life. What I really mean is to sort of give attention to whatever is happening right now. And whatever is happening right now, supposing if you're sitting still with your eyes closed, doing nothing, you firstly foremost realize that everything is happening by itself. The thoughts are coming and going. You're not thinking, they're just coming without your permission. And your breath is happening by itself. The sensations of the body are happening by itself. The listening is happening by itself. So, when we begin to honor life, we begin to acknowledge that I am not living a life, life is happening. Most often than not, I believe I'm an individual who's living his life or her life, and I have to do something to make my life. But in reality, when we take a step back, when we do the witnessing process, witnessing or the watching or self-awareness through the sitting practice, then we realize that life is just happening by itself. And that realization, that acknowledgement that life is happening by itself, mm, is a way of honoring life. That I am not making life happen, life is happening by itself. So, that I think is the best way to, um, I don't know, define or explain what meditation is, which again, I don't like to use that word. Sitting practice is better, but better than sitting practice is honoring life by acknowledging that there is some supreme power. You can call it God, you may call it divinity, you may give it different names, Brahman, emptiness, this, that. But of course, I think the simplest and the best word is life, because we can experience life. We may not acknowledge it enough, we may not honor it enough, but everything that is happening is because of life. Mm. So let's do this small sitting practice, and then we'll see what emerges for during this session, and just explore that. Okay, so sit comfortably wherever you are and take a nice long deep breath in and exhale. And it's easier if you can close your eyes, because when your eyes are open, the mind tends to get distracted. And if the purpose of the sitting practice is to honor life by witnessing life, then it's good that the mind is not distracted. To whatever extent it cannot be distracted. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take another deep breath in and exhale. The important thing is to be comfortable wherever you are. Take note of whatever is happening right now. The sounds, the breath, the sensations in the body, the thoughts, coming and going. All of these are an indication that there is life. This life does not belong to any person, to you, or to me. It simply is. Take the attention away from your life situation for some time. The to-do list, the planning, the organizing, the strategizing, the thinking, and surrender to life happening now. Witnessing whatever is happening without any judgments, without any preferences, without any likes and dislikes. Without any shoulds and should nots, must or must not, right or wrong. Simply witnessing whatever is happening right now. Sitting still, silent, experiencing this living presence called life. Neither resisting something, neither indulging in anything, just witnessing. If a thought comes, allow it to come. If an emotion comes, allow it. Neither resist it, neither indulge in it. Just watch it. Just like the sky watches the clouds without commenting on their shape, form, color. Be the sky that watches everything. Witnessing or watching or observing or being aware, being present are different words for the same thing. It is the easiest thing to do because it requires us to do nothing. Simply drop effort, let go, surrender. And you'll notice that this watching happens by itself. This awareness happens by itself. No, nothing needs to be done for it. It is integral to life. Life is creating different experiences in the form of thoughts, sensations, perceptions, feelings. And the same life is watching these phenomena that it's creating. Life gives rise to these phenomena that come and go. And life watches these phenomena that come and go. Like different images coming on the screen in the movie theater. Similarly, different sensations, thoughts, feelings come and go in consciousness. There is something that keeps watching all these phenomena. When the attention is not lost in thoughts, believing it is a person with a story, then there is just presence, living presence. No doing is involved, no becoming is necessary. This presence simply is. Effortless, spontaneous, natural, always there. It is the simplest thing in the world to just be present. Let the mind do what it has to do. Create stories, ideas, recall memories of the past, imagine situations about the future. Just be present to whatever is. Do not think what will come out of this presence. Do not think what is the purpose of this presence. What will I get out of being present? Just be present for no reason, simply because there is life, as a way to just honor life, because of which everything happens in our life. all our life situations are only there because there is life. All life situations keep changing. Our thoughts keep changing. Our feelings keep changing. But the presence of life does not change. It's always there. Hold on to this presence. Have faith in this presence. Even after we come out of the sitting practice, remember that this presence is always present. That life is always constant. Life situations are temporary and changing. Life is always there. We can get in touch with this life, with this living presence, whenever we wish, because there is never a time we are not alive. All we need to do is take a pause, bring our attention from unconscious thoughts to living presence. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take another deep breath in and exhale. Slowly and gently, at your own time, at your own pace. Whenever you feel like it. You can gently rub your palms and rub your arms. Okay. So welcome back. You can share in the comments, how's the sitting practice? Is it easy to be present to whatever is happening? Is it difficult to be present to what is happening? Mm, or sometimes there is presence, and then sometimes the attention goes into unconscious thoughts. It's also possible that each sitting practice, it's not possible, it's most likely, each sitting practice will be different. Sometimes there will be very less thoughts, there'll be more presence or the experience of presence. And sometimes there will be too many thoughts that there is hardly any gap between the thoughts to experience any presence. Whatever it may be, it's fine. The practice really is to make a practice of sitting still with the intent of just being present. And especially, I think, when you are beginning your practice in awareness, it's a good idea to have a certain time during the day where you are going to sit for some time, and because that will help to create that discipline, that will help to create that habit. It could be just 15 minutes a day in the morning. Just, you don't have to make it some unachievable target. I'm assuming 15 minutes is doable. Uh, and maybe 15 minutes in the evening, that's also a good thing. And if you want, you can put an alarm clock or whatever, a timer, so that 15 minutes is over. Uh, so at least, for that much time, you're going to sit still and just practice presence. And so it's like, just like you brush your teeth every day in the morning, I'm assuming you also brush your teeth at night. Similarly, this, I think, is the most vital thing of learning to just be aware of the consciousness, be aware of life, be aware of presence. And unfortunately, nobody teaches that in our culture, whether it's in our school, whether it's in our college, or in our upbringing. Our whole culture is about doing and becoming. We are told, okay, do something, achieve something, pursue some goal, become somebody. That's really the whole culture, about doing and becoming, doing and becoming. And um, as such, there's nothing wrong with doing. I guess even if you wanted to, it's not possible for you to not do anything, because the nature of life is such that it's constantly moving like a river. The only fallacy the mind creates, the only fantasy or the only illusion that the mind creates, is it believes it is doing something. It is making the river of life flow. That's the fallacy of the mind. That's the illusion the mind creates. Whereas the river of life is flowing by itself. The mind, the so-called conscious mind with the character, did not choose that, okay, I will be born on so and so date and so time with this body. Life happened. And the sustenance of life also happens. Mm, There are so many factors in the universe that make life happen. If the sun did not rise every day in the morning, there would be no life. If the plants did not give oxygen, there would be no life. If the seasonal cycle did not happen, there would be no life. The seasonal cycle happens because the earth rotates on its axis. So if the earth didn't rotate on its axis, there would be no life. So life is actually not something that our mind does. Life is happening by itself. But the mind makes us believe I'm a person who is doing something and living my life. So, if to overcome this fallacy of the mind that I am the doer, I am the achiever, I am whatever, the mind is so that the only thing that the mind is occupied is with the word I. If you I maybe I don't know if somebody can come up with this app, that would be great. uh, I don't know if it's possible. How many times we use the word I from the time we start conversing, from morning to night. Not only in terms of verbally saying the word I, like I did this, I like this, I want this, all this. Also in the thoughts. How many times is this word I repeated? Because our whole life is centered around this person called me or this I. That's the whole what our life is constantly centered around. Hmm. And when we practice presence, we create space between this so-called I created by the mind and the thoughts, and then we come into another I, if I have to use and this I is just lie. This I is not so much about like I am a person with a name, I am a Hindu, or I'm a Christian, or I am a doctor or a chartered accountant, or I am a Indian or a American, or I am a Maharashtrian or a Punjabi. So many labels, or I am a mother or a father or a daughter or a son. There are so many labels we create after I am. And none of these labels really, I mean, these labels are useful for functional purposes, they are useful for relative purposes, uh, for conversation. But when we start believing I am uh, a Hindu, or I am an Indian, or I am a mother, or I am a whatever label, or I'm a doctor, then that is a fallacy. Because all these are nothing but abstract words. They have no reality of their own. Even if you stop being a, being a Hindu or an Indian, you still will exist. Even if you, let's say, retire from your practice of being a doctor or a CEO of a company, let's say that role or identity is goes away, which anyway happens when people retire. You still exist. Let's say a particular role of yours is no longer there. Let's say um, you are married, and you believe you're a wife or a husband, and supposing there is uh, God forbid doesn't happen, but supposing people separate, and they're no longer related to each other in a marriage, then you're no longer the wife anymore, or you're no longer the husband, but you still exist. So any word that you add after the I am is actually just a word. It's just an abstract label that you have given to. Um, it's like a it's like a movie character. It's like you're playing a character. You're playing a role. You don't become the character. You don't become the role that you're playing. It's just a role you're playing. Like you're playing the role of a doctor, you're playing the role of a mother, you're playing the role of a son, you're playing the role of an Indian, you're playing the role of. These are just roles. So you don't take them seriously. And actually, if you take these roles very seriously, then that's the cause for your stress. And that's also the cause for conflict. Because if you believe, okay, I'm a Hindu, then all non-Hindus become uh, because you are so invested and identified with certain beliefs that anyone who has contrary beliefs to your beliefs is not someone you will take well to. Or if you believe I am a, Indian, and then everyone else who's on the other side of the border becomes someone separate from you. Or if you have so much belief that I am a CEO of a company or whatever, and if you retire, then you will feel this sense of emptiness. Then who am I now? I'm no longer a CEO of a company. So hence it's very important to realize and be in touch with the reality. And what's the reality? The reality is not that you are ABC, a person with a role, or with a belief or a religion or a mother tongue, or you know what I'm saying, right? The reality is I am. This does not change. You don't add another word after I am. There is just I am. And what does I am signify? I am signifies that there is some life here. There is some presence here. There is some existence here. There is some consciousness here. There is some being here. I don't know what that is, what that life is, what that existence is. It is not even male. It is not female. It's not human being, man, woman. All these are words, but something that is wordless but can be experienced. That is a consciousness. And I'm making this gesture perhaps to this gesture is to signify breath. This gesture is to signify the heartbeat. Now, the breath is not a male breath or a female breath or a Hindu breath or a American breath or a doctor's breath or a mother's breath. Or similarly, the heartbeat is not, it is just life. And that as an indication that I am. There is something here. I don't know what I am. That is the most fundamental thing, that you need to move away your attention from this I am ABC XYZ to come back to the simple experience or the feeling I am. Nothing more is needed. And that is the practice of what generally people would call meditation, but meditation has too many. Is the sitting practice that we do, or honoring of life. Honoring of life means acknowledging I am. So that's something that you need not just practice like 15 minutes a day in the morning or 15 minutes a day in the evening. You can practice more. I mean, there was a time when I used to religiously uh, meditate for 2 hours every day. I don't do that now. I don't feel the need for it. Not that I'm saying you should or you should not. I'm not even suggesting that. I'm simply saying that you should allot a certain time to be present every day, ideally morning and evening. They say the best time to um, do any kind of auspicious work is during sunrise and sunset. That's when the transition happens. But you need not make a ritual out of it. It's fine even if you're doing it whenever you're doing it, but make a practice of doing it. That's really the important thing. Develop a taste for I am. I think that's a beautiful way to say it. Develop a taste for presence. Develop a taste for being. Because we have a taste for everything, but what about your own existence? Develop a taste for your own existence. And yeah, and this feeling I am is all the time. As soon as you wake up, I am comes. And it continues till the time you close your eyes. So your ability to exercise your conscious so-called effort and willpower is only in the state where you are awake. When you are asleep or when you are dreaming, you cannot exercise your effort and willpower. That's an unconscious process that happens by itself. Uh, the dreaming, you could say, perhaps is a subconscious process. But again, it's not something where you can exert, the you called me can exert. It's only in the waking state you can exercise your effort or direct your attention in a certain direction or exercise your willpower. Uh, and the best use of willpower, uh, the, in fact, I would say the only use of willpower, because if you look at it from another perspective, all that we are assuming that we are using our willpower, we are exerting choices, we are making effort, we are achieving, is coming primarily from a notion and a belief that I exist and I can do all of this. But once you realize that there is presence, there is life, you will begin to realize more and more life is just happening. That includes the actions that are happening through you, that includes the thoughts that are happening through you, that includes the choices that are happening. All of it is just happening. So this notion of doership mm, uh, reduces, if I may say it, diminishes slowly and gradually as presence starts becoming more predominant in our life. Till the time the presence is less, then the sense of doership, that I am the doer, I am the decider, I am the whatever, is high. And the more the sense of doership, then greater the likelihood that there will be arrogance that, oh, I did this, I am the one who's achieved this, and, da, 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 and without me, nothing will happen. Or there will be this downfall or failure or depression if something doesn't happen. So, doership with it brings duality. It will take you on a high, take you really down. Hmm? That's the nature of the mind, duality, ups and downs. If you look at mind is essentially language, language is all essentially duality. Everything is divided into two, good, bad, cold, hot, all. Everything is relative. So this feeling of I am can be experienced anytime. You can be brushing your teeth and just when you're brushing your teeth, be aware of life, of existence. And how do you be aware of life and existence? I think the primary thing is don't get lost in your unconscious thoughts. Quite often throughout the day, what's really happening is we are doing activities, but we are never present wherever our activity is or whatever we are doing. Or another way of putting it, we are never present where the body is. Our mind is chattering, 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 chattering. We are brushing our teeth, we are thinking, "Ta, ta, ta," something is going on, some radio commentary is going on. So if you want to practice I am, when you're brushing your teeth, just um, keep your attention in the experience of life. Now, in the experience of life, what could it be like if you're brushing your teeth? Then you're experiencing the coolness around your mouth, maybe the taste of the toothpaste. Now, that's an experience of life. Maybe when you put your hand in water, you are experiencing the touch of water. That's an experience of life. Um, so, whatever, wherever you are, when you begin to notice life, then you begin to honor life, then you begin to honor I am. Like if you're eating, if you're having a cup of tea. Now, if you're having a cup of tea, then just notice that the taste of the tea, the aroma of the tea, the smell of the tea, and the warmth of the cup. All this is an experience of life. All this is an expression of I am. So if you give it your attention, then so you can bring this um, mm, this practice of being just a living presence any moment of your life. You don't have to necessarily sit for 15 minutes and 15 minutes. You can do that. That's perfectly fine. And it's a good practice. But ideally, this practice of honoring life should happen. I don't like to use the word ideally, must be something that is integrated throughout our life. And that's when the life becomes a meditative life. That's when life becomes a contemplative life. So this feeling of I amness is always present. So whatever you're doing, you may be lost in your thoughts, and that's the way of the mind. It will take your attention into thoughts and thinking. But whenever you remember, then come back into the I amness, come back into the feeling of being, come back into the feeling of life, come back. And how do you do that? By taking note of whatever is available through your five senses, because that's the medium through which life experiences itself. Through your five senses, by noticing what's happening in the body, maybe emotions, maybe your breath, maybe your thoughts. So essentially eight functions: the breath, the five senses, the thoughts, the feelings. Five, six, seven, eight. Yeah. So if you start taking note of the expression of life, then you come in touch with the feeling of I am. Now, what can help you to the practice is really so simple. There's nothing more to the practice of so-called meditation, mindfulness, awareness, um, coming back into the feeling I am, I am, I am, I am. So, what can help you to remember that you are? Actually, it is just remembering I exist, that there is life. We are only lost in our thoughts and our unconscious thoughts and playing the character in our thoughts, and that is what we need to reclaim our attention from, which has gotten lost and consumed by the software of our mind, which has gone totally, which is not in our control. We believe we are thinking. We are not thinking. If we are thinking, then we should be able to stop our thoughts. We are not able to stop our thoughts, which means it's an unconscious process which is going on. So, what can help us to constantly remember our own existence, remember that there is life, and because of life, all the situations are happening. And that is to expose yourself to this wisdom. Now, what do I mean by expose yourself to this wisdom? The more you hear boring people like me, whatever, whoever, maybe your favorite teacher, or there's so many people who are offering I wouldn't say so many, actually each one is offering different kinds of wisdom, but I think this wisdom is so simple. If any book, any teacher, any talk reminds you to come back to presence, come back to awareness, then that is aiding you to constantly remember to come back. So often I say that I am just an alarm clock to wake you up, to make you remember to come back to present. That's all my role is. So if you watch, since I may be posting this on YouTube, if you watch these videos, then it's just a constant reminder for you to come back, into awareness, to come back into presence, come back where life is. Because that is where the grounding is. If you're lost in your unconscious thoughts, believing the stories of your mind, believing the roles you play, believing the identities that the mind forms, then you're totally lost in something which truly has no reality other than the reality the mind creates. And then one can get entangled in the mind created realities, in the violence of the mind, and try to find a solution to come out of it. But there is no resolution to come out of the mind other than to come into presence. And there may be something beyond presence also. There may be something beyond I am also. But let's first come to I am. then we can, and actually whatever is beyond is not something that can really be talked about. Only what can really be talked about is come back to presence, come back to life, come back to I am. This is the only thing that we can really do. Like I often give this example, we can create conditions for sleep, but we cannot use our willpower to go to sleep. And similarly, the awakening process, we can create conditions for awakening by constantly remembering and abiding in living presence, in awareness, in consciousness. Beyond that is grace. Mhm. But the more you come into awareness, the more you come into presence, it accelerates, as at best I can perhaps say this, it accelerates the process of awakening and realization. So, and there's nothing that you have to lose. I'm not asking you to go and do some special ritual and puja and invest money or something. Like if you go to some priest somewhere, you have this Shani Dasha, and then they'll tell you, I'm not asking you to wear some ring, to make your life. I'm not asking you to do any of this. You have nothing really to lose. All I'm saying is bring your attention to I am. Bring your attention to consciousness. Bring your attention to presence. That's all there is. And as often as you can. And the more you expose yourself to these teachings, this wisdom, the more the attention will get sensitized to come back to I am. So it's as simple as that. And the feeling of I am, the feeling of just being present is so what do I say? It's so effortless in a way, I would say. Because what do you need to do to be yourself? Or you're not yourself as in a version of the mind, but just to be. What do you need to do? You don't need to do anything. Everything else you have to do something, you have to think, you have to plan, you have to organize, you have to strategize, you have to do this, you have to do that. And everything requires effort. And effort is beyond the point you get tired of putting in effort. You want to just say, okay, enough effort now. I just want to be, which is why we all look forward to going to sleep, because we want to be free of this notion of me who has to constantly plan and organize and think and do and something. So when you come back to this feeling of I am, there's just ease, there's just relaxation, there's just being, there's nothing to do. And even if the thoughts are coming and going, that's fine. Let them come like clouds, keep coming and going. You just be. And in a way, it's like it's getting in touch with the source, and it just refreshes you, rejuvenates you, because uh, it's like the more you get entangled in identification and thoughts and things to do and all of it, it's like constantly opening new and new apps on your laptop, or new programs on your laptop. And after time, when you open too many programs and the system doesn't have the capacity, then it crashes because too much stuff is open there. And that's what happens to the mind as well. Mm. So you need to shut down all the software and the apps on, I'm this, I'm that, whatever thoughts, and then come back to a state of just pure being, presence, awareness, silence, stillness. That is so easy, that's so refreshing, that's so natural, that's so. Actually, words are not really needed, because as soon as you open your mouth, as soon as you add a word, it's something which comes from the mind. So just be. Close your eyes, sit still, just be. Breathing, sensing, listening. You're not breathing, you're not sensing, you're not listening. All of this is happening by itself. Just be. In the being, everything is happening. In the presence, everything is happening. In existence, everything is happening. And I often say, the tastiest dish in the world is to experience silence, to experience a silent mind, because this mind is chattering all the time. And then we all want to have peace of mind. When we come back to I am, that is where we can experience that mind which is silent and still. Mm. So, yeah. So, uh, the end, I would probably say that give life a chance. So far, you believe I have to make my life, I have to be in charge of life, I have to do something, I have to achieve something. I'm saying I'm being the advocate of life, and I am of, representing life, and I'm saying give life a chance. Just be, be the life that is, and then whatever has to happen, the unfoldment happens, but give life a chance. You have tried all your willpower and exercise all your effort in trying to do everything, and it creates a lot of stress and tension and all of that. And if you have done with enough of trying, then say that, okay, enough, I give up, I surrender. I want to give life a chance. And how do you give life a chance? By bringing your attention back to I am, back to presence. So that is how we give life a chance. And by exposing ourselves as much as possible to these teachings, whichever teacher you like, you resonate with, you can read books. Uh, there's so many people who are offering this wisdom. So yeah, that's that. I think for this session, if I have to perhaps think of a title that summarizes this session, would be honoring life, or another word would be give life a chance. But I think honoring life is a nice title, which means shift your attention to life, to presence, to awareness, to I am. So let's end the session with a small prayer. That's what I generally end my sessions with. So you can sit and do share your feedback in the comment section, and feel free to reach out to me in whatever way you want to. And if you want to be part of the classes where it's more interactive and engaging, you can let me know. Okay, so close your eyes, take a deep breath, and join your palms. Namaste if you wish. My dear life, the experience of I am, presence, existence, as a mind, as an identity. I pray to you to help me to overcome my wrong beliefs, my misconceptions about my own self. Help me to move my attention from I am this or that to just the experience of I am. Help me to honor this life based on which all my life situations happen. I seek your guidance I seek your grace to realize my true self. Om Shanti, Shanti. Gently rub your palms and go. Okay, so with that, we end today's session. I hope it's useful, and I would just urge you to practice this simple practice of shifting your attention from unconscious thoughts to I am as often as you can. And you can also devote some time specifically during the day to do this practice. So I'll see you with another session, maybe in the coming week. So goodbye. God bless. Take care.